I'm just a teenage dirtbag, baby. This is the 9th edition of Thrift Store Finds. Thank you for watching, and we're going to do things a little differently. When there's no straw poll link, we're going to do this by commenting, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But first, before we get into that, because I don't want to ramble on for 50 minutes before I show you anything, I found a movie that I want to show you. I found Bronson by director Nicholas Winding Refn, one of my favorite directors, and it's amazing. You never find interesting movies like this. You rarely do in thrift stores. You get to see people's very bad taste in almost everything on full display, and you don't know where it comes from, so you can't go to that person and say, the movies you like suck, your DVD collection is horrible, which is why you donated it. I actually found a cool movie here, and I have not seen this one. I've seen a lot of his movies, but not this one, and I am happy to have found it. I don't know if this is the one he did right before Drive, but it was either this one or Valhalla Rising. I've seen that one, but not this one, so I'm actually excited to watch this. Almost as excited as I was to find this, because you don't really see movies like this in the trash heaps that are the DVD sections at thrift stores. So anyway, let's get into the games. And the first one is Heat Seeker for the Wii. Yeah, Heat Seeker, and yes, $39.99 new. I paid $1 for this, so we're gonna flip it around, and would you look at that? Boeing and Lockheed Martin licensed product. That's right, this is a game brought to you by the military industrial complex. But guess what? I opened this game up, and again, I paid $1 for it, and guess what was in there? Super Mario Galaxy, a game I have not played since December 2007, as you can see here in my save lists. And I only have one save file, and here's where I left off, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. But this was a great surprise. You rarely find this stuff, and the situation is usually in reverse. You find a game that you actually want, and then you open it up, and it's something like ATV Off-Road Fury or something like that. And you're like, man, I'm so disappointed. I really wanted that copy of Suikoden 2. Finding Mario games in junk stores is not too frequent of an occurrence, so this was exciting. Didn't get the good vibes flowing like finding a copy of Bronson on DVD in a junk store, but almost as good. Next is another Wii game, last of the Wii games this week. Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. I believe this is a launch title for the Wii, and I don't have much to say about this. It's a launch. I'm pretty sure it's a launch title, or at least a 2006 Wii game. And I don't know. I never faulted Super Monkey Ball's control schemes with it. It used the analog sticks really well. I was never... Even Super Monkey Ball Jr. for the Game Boy Advance was really good, even though that was completely controlled by D-pad. I'm not sure about this motion control business. Again, no more Wii games. From here on out, we have nothing but PlayStation games. I had a lot of good luck in this stretch of time in finding original PlayStation games, and we start off with Vigilante 8 by Activision and Luxo Flux. Fully loaded, fully loco. And I'm not showing this, I'm going to read it while you watch the gameplay footage that I recorded. I like the back of the box quotes from the reviews of the magazines. It says, "The sweetest drive and destroy game for the PlayStation thus far," from Ultra Game Players magazine. I think I remember them. "Be prepared for actual environment scar and car crash realism and heavy-duty 3D explosions from GamePro." Have read GamePro a few times. "This game has more explosive potential than a 2-gallon jug of nitroglycerin," according to PS Extreme. Never did read that particular publication. And the reason I am reading the back of the Vigilante 8 case here is because I have nothing to say about this game. Well, I don't want to say that I have nothing to say. I will say this: I like finding stuff like this because it's a reminder that of the trends in the industry at the time. Vehicular combat was a big thing thanks to Twisted Metal, and a lot of companies, a lot of developers had their interpretation of it, and I guess every industry is a copycat industry. Remember all those found footage movies, thanks to Paranormal Activity? Remember those? No, nobody remembers those. I bet you more people remember Vigilante 8 than they remember Paranormal Activity, any of them. Anyway, next is Croc, Greatest Hits, the Greatest Hits edition. How many copies did a game need to sell in order to be considered a greatest hit, according to Sony? Yeah, this is Croc, the legend, not the legend of the Gobos, or Gobos, who knows. But I found this, and I actually never played Vigilante 8 before. The footage you watched of that was the first I ever played of it. And this is the first I've ever played of Croc. I did not have Croc, even though I did have a PlayStation. Did not have a Nintendo 64 until much later, after it was discontinued. And since I have nothing to say about Croc, I actually really don't have anything to say about Croc. I'll say this. When I was making my rounds a couple months ago, it was around the time I found Croc, they're in like the DVD game bin at the thrift store I went to. They had a bunch of PlayStation 2 games that were in blue boxes. I'm like, oh, that's weird. But, and then I picked it up. Guess what they were? They were the PAL versions. Not the NTSC versions, but the PAL versions. They came from Europe. Some of them even had, there was an Ace Combat game that had a French subtitle on it. So maybe some French kid moved over here and brought his games with him. And he's like, oh crap, I can't play them on these stupid American TVs or whatever the case. I come up with these, I like to attach stories to these items that I find. And no, I did not buy any of the PAL versions of the games, because there was like FIFA, Ace Combat, some other stuff. There wasn't anything that I did not recognize in there. There were no games in that bunch of games that I saw that were exclusive to the European region. But it's startling to see stuff like that, because you wonder how exactly it gets over here. Maybe the story I just made up in my head to make sense of it, maybe that wasn't the case at all, but there are some copies of European games that can't even be played on our TVs over here, or on our PlayStation 2s over here at the very least. How does that work anyway? Are there any experts on converting PAL to NTSC? Is there anybody out there that knows how to do that, that knows how to pull that off? If so, let me know. I know what the different region codings entail, and I know that some aren't compatible with others. And I do know that the original Nintendo DS, that was actually a region-free system, which I thought was pretty cool when I heard about that. I was actually looking into the into PlayStation 2 modding that to do Japanese games, or getting a Japanese PS2, but getting one of those I think is pretty expensive. I want to play the Beatmania games. I know they have a lot of those for the PlayStation 2. Something that is relevant to my interests. Anyway, moving on to the next PlayStation game is Star Wars Rebel Assault 2: The Hidden Empire, an FMV game. I like those a lot, and I think Star Wars is one of the most inexplicable cultural phenomena that has ever graced American cinema, American media. I just don't get it. The only really exposure I had to it growing up was, I remember watching it pretty late at night on USA, the original from the original trilogy, and I didn't get any of it. It was nice to look at, but I just don't understand how grown people can go to Star Wars and cry about it. Again, I'm not judging you or anything. Well, I am, because I'm not guilty of it. But, you know, as you get older, you revisit some things and you look at it with a fresh set of eyes. You have new perspectives on life, and maybe it speaks to you in some way, but I never got it. Star Wars never carved out a place in my brain, in my heart. I don't have any affection towards it like a lot of people do. I'm not against it. I mean, they're nice movies and all, and there's a lot of cool video games about it. But I was glad to find this. It actually had both discs. It's a 2-disc game, and I think they both work. They're both in good shape. The case is kind of beat up, but whatever, I'll take it. This is one of those games where I actually rented this before because it looked cool, and I have not played it since. I don't really remember much about it other than it's a full motion video game. It's a game in that genre, which I like a lot. And I never played Star Wars Assault #1. It's one of those games that you're aware of the sequel before the thing that came before it, the thing that started the the whole series, the spin-off series, the offshoot series. Never heard of the first one until I heard of the second one. And now it's Star Wars Rebel Assault number 2. And here is Warhammer, Shadow of the Horned Rat. I've never found a copy of this before. I have no idea. I think it's... Look at this. Why would anybody do this to themselves? But this is playing a strategy game on the console. A game probably meant to be played with a keyboard and mouse. Played on a controller. Why? How can I play this? Anyway, this is one of those games that's in the case where it can hold 2 or more discs, but it's only one, because I think the instruction manual for this is pretty big, which it does come with, but yeah, I think that's the reason, because I'm holding it in my hand right now and I'm opening it up, even though you're not seeing this on camera right now, because I record the audio and video separately, and yeah, I guess it is too big of a, hold on, let me see how many pages this instruction manual is. It doesn't even say. It's a lot. Oh, this is a 67-page instruction manual. That's crazy. I wonder why they had to fit it. It's like they have more manual than they have game. It's like if it were a 2-disc game, I would understand having an instruction manual this big, but man, I'm glad I got this. It only like the copy of I think most of this stuff cost me $1 each, actually. Great deal. And exit Warhammer, enter Crash Team Racing, a game that I'm sure you all have fond memories of. But guess what? I never played Crash Team Racing. I didn't even rent it. What kind of PlayStation poser am I? What you are seeing is my first bits of gameplay with it. I know a lot of games that I never played this week. I have played the 2 Wii games prior, but the only one of the PlayStation games that I played featured in this episode was the Star Wars game. I can't play everything. I didn't get to play everything. You know, you go to the video store every once in a while, and there's so many games available, and you can only rent one of them. And Crash Team Racing is one I never saved up my allowance to get, and one I never rented when the family would go to the video store to rent games. I'm not so sure, but I think Crash Team Racing sold more copies than Croc, because these are the two greatest hits games that I found this time around. I really like that green color that they used for their greatest hits line of releases. I understand that it's the same game, but I like the look of the green label PlayStation games. It's a lot better than the PlayStation 2 greatest hits covers. I don't like that red so much. It doesn't look bad, but I like the green more. It catches your eye. I remember when the Xbox came around, they had platinum hits. They didn't call them greatest hits, they called them platinum hits, and they came in these cool silvery looking boxes. I thought those were a lot cooler than the PlayStation boxes, because the PlayStation ones, they just had the red label. I liked the silver boxes that the silver, I call them boxes, cases, the silver cases that the Platinum Hits games came in. And then, of course, GameCube had the Player's Choice line of best-selling games. They had the yellow labels, which were, I guess that's okay, but whatever. Platinum Hits wins, in my opinion. That will do it. No more new games to show you, no more new things to show you, even though plenty more of these videos are on the way. Let me know which of these games you want me to review. Give me a nice, convincing comment. Influence your peers, influence me. Which of these games will bring out the best review? And let me just ask in general, what games do you want me to review? Like, I could review more handheld games, more Game Boy Advance games. I got a couple surprises. I'm gonna review more games from the Sega consoles coming up soon here. I really want to start reviewing more 16-bit era games. I know I reviewed Ys Book 1 and 2, but I bought that on the Wii's Virtual Console a long time ago, which is why I reviewed that. And actually, TurboGrafx is something that I should... I mean, it's more... Again, all of these are just luxuries. They're wants. I don't need one. It's like... But it would be cool to have, because I had one back in the day, but when I was little, my dad sold it and traded it in, or either sold it or traded the TurboGrafx for a Sega Genesis. which is why that was like the first console that I really remember playing a lot of. So yeah, more 16-bit stuff, more 16-bit era stuff. I'd like to get into that, but what do you want to see? Just let me know. General ideas for reviews you would like to see. Maybe you want to see more music or video reviews. I don't know. You gotta tell me these things. And don't forget to tell me which of these games featured in this episode of Thrift Store Finds you want me to review. And I have nothing more to say, so thank you for watching, thank you for listening, thank you for participating, and we'll do this again soon.